Before there was a once, and before once there was a time and a place. On the coast of Liguria, in Italy, on the outskirts of a small town called Recco, in a long-forgotten botanical garden, sits a castle, dusky pink, breathing peacefully. The castle was once built by a travelling salesman who had seen most of the world and been almost everywhere, from his native Italy to the Middle East and beyond. He had travelled, he had traded, and he had achieved great wealth, most likely because he had understood that every moment could be the beginning of a great new adventure. And so, for many years, the castle enjoyed all the adventures and lively gatherings that took place there. Here everyone was welcomed. Friends, dancers, performers, musicians, explorers, cooks, storytellers from all over the world, and every song, every dance, every meal, and every story breathed life and fresh air into the castle. The castle understood with absolute certainty that its reason for existing was to host beauty. Times were not always smooth. Well, life hardly ever is. There was a sudden change of air. Stories went lost in bad news, worries, secretive voices, conversations that sounded like thunderstorms, and there was talk of enemies and destruction. The castle felt as if its happy days were slipping away, all because of something called war. One terrible day, there were bombs falling out of the sky very close by. They luckily didn't hit the castle, but they sure did shake it up, as if something horrible had pushed its way straight into its heart. This was not how it should be. Surely this was a terrible mistake. Why would anyone want to destroy and create this kind of chaos? This war was something horrible. A story one would not want to be part of, where everyone seemed to lose something or someone they loved. The castle stretched out its arms as far as it could reach, begging for help. "Please, help me! I wish to protect this space so stories and togetherness will survive and be a safe haven for creativity. I promise I will welcome everyone, for this is a space of wholeness and kindness, a space where everyone can learn and watch our garden grow, so we can sit around one big table and share meals. Oh, please let this space always be full of joy, song and laughter. Let there be people who nourish creativity and who ignite our imagination. Oh, and please, 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 someone who can make good stories happen and someone who can tell stories with happy endings." Some might say it was pure luck. Others might say that the big friendly castle's wishes were heard. For when the war finally ended, it stood completely intact and untouched. It had been left in peace. In fact, it was even left in peace for quite some time after. Well, perhaps those who used to live there had settled down elsewhere, or might they simply have left this world to pass on to new adventures, and therefore leaving the friendly castle to someone else? Time passed by. Perhaps it was only a year, or maybe 2, or maybe even a bit longer. And then, all of a sudden, Look! Look! Lots of young people arrived. They played and ran around exploring the garden, climbed the trees, swung in their branches. Oh, they called it a school, a scuola di natura. All this busyness, the daily noise from the passing train and the busy main road mellowed out between birds singing and the humming happiness of the children's play. The castle felt completely fulfilled, beaming with joy and good company. It was certainly worth the long wait. And then one day, for no apparent reason, the children stopped coming. One day all the furniture was removed. The garden began to overgrow. The fruit from the trees fermented on the ground, and the big gate doors were locked. "What now?" asked the castle. "Is this part of a new adventure?" And so it waited and waited and waited, quite patiently. Weeks passed by, months, maybe even years. The castle so wanted something new to happen, and it prayed, and a few times somebody did pass by, but the castle was actually exposed to rather impolite and sometimes even heartbreaking comments. It's quite old and worn out. Well, might as well pull the whole thing down. It's way too big. Ugh, it'll be too expensive to keep. Can we chop it into smaller pieces and sell it off, and we might even make a profit? Problem's the garden. It's in such a state. Look at the palm trees. They're all dying. Who could even be bothered to do all the weeding? Oh, do you know what? We could put concrete over the terrace and make it into a parking lot, which would be a lot more useful. It's so noisy. There's the train. There's the traffic. Why don't we turn it into a nightclub? Or a virtual horror house, or we could sell it off to one of those franchises like the Museum of Torture. That might not go down very well with the neighbours. Oh, do you know what? It's too much hassle. Too many restrictions. Too much hard work. Too small, too big, too much, too this, too... Oh, the castle said nothing. Hoped they would leave and let it be. It would rather carry on waiting. Of course, it didn't want to be too picky or judgmental about all these suggestions. It just felt rather saddened that nobody appreciated it for what it really was, as if what it wasn't enough. One day, someone different did stop by, and as they looked in through the front gate, the castle felt something. Well, like a struck of lightning, a flash of the heart, a coup de cœur. The castle not quite sure whether it was wishful thinking or if it had really heard someone say, "Wouldn't this be a great space for togetherness? Oh, it's got such a welcoming appeal. It's not too small, not too big. This place is so soft and gentle, so perfectly dressed in dusky pink, a bit wrinkled, yet with so much life to give, like a sweet old grandmother full of wonderful stories." Yes, come and play. Please don't go away, the castle said. Stay a while. Oh, it's so wished to have someone come and bring it all back to life. But how could it make them stay? How could it make the gate open and unlock the doors to give it a makeover, or at least a little spring clean? Some people said that in order to open the doors, what you need is a lot of money. No, said others. First you need to find out who the real owner is, and who does this place belong to. Are you sure you know the right people? Are you even the right people to be doing this? Well, do you know Elton John? Do you have a good lawyer? Who are your investors? EU funding? Forget it. It's almost impossible. What you need is to find someone who has a key. Well, rules are rules, and you must apply safety regulations. And who will be in charge? Who is responsible? What if the roof falls down? What if there's no water? What if it's too hot? What if there's a fire? What if people don't turn up? What if too many people turn up? Can you sell it? Well, who profits from all of this? Isn't Italy just a little bit corrupt? Is it sustainable? Where will all the guests park? And so the questions went on and on. You know what? Maybe just leave it. Another 10 years or so, or for someone else to fall in love with it. Perhaps that's the easiest option after all. But the castle knew there had to be a way to make something happen. Oh, a way to bid everyone welcome. Hang on a second. Maybe it's a lot simpler than everyone said. Maybe all you needed was a permission. Yes, a carte blanche to allow this makeover. What if it for one night only could glow in the most beautiful glory, just like that story that I'd heard once a long time ago about Christmas? What if it were like a Christmas tree and could sparkle and give joy to the children and all their families? What if everyone for a moment allowed their enchanting imaginations and told each other the most important story of all? the one written in the universal language of love? Love is all that's needed. The space will come to life as long as there is enough love. It will be filled with joy, with vibrant creativity, song, dance, light and laughter and delicious food. For whenever the language of the heart is spoken, true togetherness and greatness appears. And so it happened that with all the love from above and below, from far and from near, a new adventure could begin. The castle opened up its gate. Rules and responsibility were accounted for. The rightful people were given a carte blanche to bring back life to the old pink castle that had almost been forgotten, slightly abandoned, in order to make way for a new fairy tale in the making. The friendly pink castle stood gentle, yet strong, sharing its biggest gift to everyone who came to its door, its own story. Now, isn't that exactly what we call cultural heritage? And how do we know that this story is true? Well, because the castle whispered it to a woman called Fiorella, who makes the best pasta. And she once told it to Vito, who makes delicious ice cream. And then he told Carlo, who makes an outstanding focaccia. And it just so happened that he told us. And now we're telling you.